be a speaker. Now, if you know Matt doesn't really ask for anything. I mean, literally nothing, right? Everybody asks things of Matt. So when Matt said, I want this, I got super giddy. I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. I don't know this guy. How the heck can I find him? Right? So I did what my president has taught me, is I went to Twitter. So I reached out to this young trailblazer on Twitter, and to my surprise, he answered immediately. He accepted the invitation to speak after talking just briefly about what's going on and the look and what we want to do in McLean County. Last night, a group of us got together at Epiphany Farms and we had some dinner with Jaymal. We almost got kicked out of the joint because we're arguing about politics and having so much fun. It was fantastic. I didn't think anybody could be louder than Nikita, right? Tore him up. He's yelling at Shayna at one point. We were having a blast. It was awesome. And in the corner was Matt sitting back there snickering, right? This is exactly why I wanted him to come. Jaymal Green is an activist. He's an entrepreneur whose activism and efforts have reached national and international audiences. Having grown up in Chicago and experiencing the effects of poverty and gun violence firsthand, Jaymal brings a marginalized perspective to issues such as race relations, economics, and the current state of political justice in the United States of America. Since starting his first youth organization at age 15, Jaymal has worked tirelessly as a community organizer, motivational speaker, mentoring youth and implementing programs and policies to help reduce gun violence. He's also served as a conduit between law enforcement, politicians, and the community at large. And he was excited and honored to meet with our local Boys and Girls Club today. He's a leading voice at the forefront of the Black Lives Matter movement. Jaymal was handpicked by Bernie Sanders to serve as his official surrogate during the senator's groundbreaking 2016 campaign. This young activist electrified the crowds with amazing, rousing introductions. He's a popular media figure. You've probably seen him as a panelist on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. You're gonna have to explain that one. ABC, CBS, and the BBC. He's amassed thousands of followers in his growing social network. Mr. Green is the founder of Majesty All-Stars, a nonprofit with the mission of empowering underprivileged youth and encouraging self-improvement through training, mentoring, and guidance. Most recently, Jaymal became the youngest candidate ever to run for mayor of Chicago. Nice. His campaign inspired thousands around the world, and he was featured on the front cover of Vogue and a spread in Ebony magazine. Friends, I am proud to present my new friend, Jaymal Green, to the stage.
Beautiful. I guess I should start off by explaining that Fox News. Well, Herman Cain challenged me on Fox News to a debate, okay? So I accepted and I gave him what he needed. Okay? So I first want to thank the McLean County Democrats for having the guts to book a guy like me from the poor south side of Chicago. Clap it up for the McLean County Democrats for this event. It is beautiful. Also want to thank Lieutenant Governor Stratton for being here, working hard in Springfield. I honestly can't even remember our last Lieutenant Governor's name. Thank God, or the former guy who sat in the governor's seat for a while. But from an activist, you guys are doing some great work. And I'm looking forward to January. Not just because marijuana will be legal, but you're right on that. But more importantly, many people who look like me will have a second chance at life thanks to the record number of exposure. We appreciate your hard work. And we know much, much more work has to be done. Welcome to the Obama Legacy Dinner. Now, I struggled a little bit with what I would say during this address. Some of President Obama's actions clash with my activist mindset sometimes, But I thought about the things that made me love our former president. I cannot tell you how refreshing the air was back in the day, because it feels like forever, and this orange pollution is messing us all up in America. This orange pollution, anybody smelled it when y'all walked? I think we'll make it through. Yes, we can. But the one thing that I love about the legacy of President Obama was the fact that he started out like me, as an organizer. See, I didn't know what organizing meant until it got me into a lot of trouble. Many people say organizing gets you trophies, but my organizing got me kicked out of 9 schools. I never knew what I was doing was organizing until I got older and got into more trouble. I started to understand that we have no choice but to organize for what's right, to get us from under the oppression in our neighborhoods. If someone doesn't do it, then who will? I learned that the biggest threat to my work was the word only. Say only. Only. See, I was the youngest candidate to run for mayor of Chicago, but my adversaries spent the better part of their days trying to reduce me to only. I heard Jaymal is only an activist. He can't lead a city, or he's only 23. What does he know? So many people made it their mission to confine me in a one-dimensional, shallow pool of only, as if the wide range of work I've done somehow doesn't amount to much. As if all of my passion and energy that I put into bettering our community is voided by minute pieces of my identity. So often, we write people off and shackle them to the confines of only. If we continue to place people in this box, how will they soar? We are vibrant and wholesome beings, and it's a mistake to target one aspect of someone and place them in a box that delegitimizes their contribution. But let me give you a tip. When people try to put you in that box, you create your own label. And that's exactly what I did. Labeled myself the CEO of my company and never worked for anybody else since I was 15. I organized to make it successful. When Donald Trump tried spreading hate in Chicago, I learned the power of social media and successfully organized thousands to shut it down, the first one and the only one ever to happen. When the police department consisted of more guns than tasers, I organized my community to camp out on the mayor's yard until that changed. My message to you is don't be scared of the voice of organizers. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I only have my GED. For some people, this is a dead-end confession. A piece of paper that's essentially the same as a high school diploma without the prestige of graduating high school. I can't count how many times people react and say, "You sure you only have your GED?" And I simply reply, "Yes, I do." You see that it's only one aspect of who I am. It contributes to my being, but it does not define me. I've accomplished so many things as an entrepreneur and advocate with my GED in this 24 years on earth. I've both climbed and moved mountains, and I challenge all of you to do the same. All too often, we look to heroes and belittle our ability to create the kind of change that Obama believed in. All too often, we use that cop-out excuse that we are only one person. And way too often, we ignore our light and refuse to shine out of fear that we won't make an impact. But making the decision to create change is the first step. Sometimes you have to come to terms with who you are in order to step into who you're supposed to be. Sometimes that's the person that collects petitions. Sometimes it's the person who runs that local block club. Sometimes it's the loudmouth activist that camps out on the mayor's lawn and refuses to let injustices fall by the wayside. We cannot make progress if we refuse to ruffle a few feathers.
That's right.
If you know me, that's something that I'm good at. And I recognize that some people may find me too blunt or uncouth, but the only thing that fuels me is the needs of our community. And I found that people that cannot handle me are the ones that run from the truth. They are the people who are politicians and not public servants.
Say that.
Money is their motivator, and us, the people who need them most, get a back seat. Growing up around Chicago politics, I heard a little joke. They say, y'all like Chicago politics out here. Like, try not to be. We're getting better. Growing up, I've seen a lot of corruption, and it pumps through the veins of our city, and too many politicians are holding our future hostage. It's the Democratic Party around this country that must understand that the work doesn't happen in the backroom deals. It happens on the streets where there are struggling voters who are not motivated.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, who are we if we are like the right and want to suppress the vote by not giving them something to vote for? Or giving them more Democrats who erode the trust in government? Too long, this party has allowed corrupt interests to trump, no pun intended, community interests. But it's time to turn over a new leaf in our party before we become a party of none.
Yeah. Yes.
Young people like me are tired of the same corrupt leadership that has plagued us for decades. And we've seen those die because of lack of health care. We had to watch our parents struggle with low wages, still had our lights cut off.
Yeah.
I've had to watch my friends through the years die from senseless gun violence, and no politician comes with solutions. We had to go to college unprepared from our public school system, and then swim in debt from student loans. We are done playing politics. It is time for progress.
Yes.
Now, this night is about celebrating legacy. But I would not be Jaymal Green if I didn't make a few people clutch their pearls and gasp for air. So, here we go. Let me say this plainly and as loud as I can. It's time to organize for career politicians to pass the torch. You cannot leave a legacy if you refuse to lead. Our city and country are being held hostage by generations of people who are more in love with politics than progress. It is time for a fresh wave of leadership to drive us into a better future. This is not a request. Our lives depends on this. So I'm proud, That's why I was proud to have dinner with a trailblazer like Shayna Wachinski. I'm also proud of Chicago's mayor, my great friend, the first LGBTQ black woman mayor. I'm also proud of our Governor J.B. Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Strack for their bold moves. See, it takes for those who have never been in politics to take the torch when it really should have been passed to us. It is time for the torch to be passed to people that have the vigor and vitality needed to reimagine the path of our nation. See, Obama, he got it. He started out small, and he did not overstay his welcome in office. He understood that the purpose of political office is to elevate our country to greater heights.
Yes.
And in the process, pave the way for the next generation.
Yes.
The Obama legacy is far-reaching. And we all know how monumental it is to usher in the first black president. And we all knew the feeling of holding our breath when he walked onto the stage. Experiencing that all too surreal moment that someone who looks like me was accepted by a country that still to this day struggles to see past our skin color. We are in a desperate time right now. And as people who have been in power far too long are threatening to turn the tide and revert our country back to an uglier time in our history. But it is up to us to organize. And let me not go from that. Let me hear y'all say it's up to us to organize. Say it's up to us to organize. I can't hear y'all over here. And up to our party to move the needle to fit an agenda for the people. This election, we must organize like our lives depend on it, because we all know that they do. The Supreme Court matters.
Yes. Yes.
So we must make sure that we take back the Senate. Many Congress races are up for grabs, and I'm hoping to seeing this Rodney guy unseated by Betsy Lodge. But we must knock on every door, make every phone call, let people know that it's time to take back the White House. And when we do that, Democrats, we can't get in there and tweet or ask for permission from the other party. We must demand what we deserve for everyone. So, my challenge to you is don't let them win. Let's all do our part. Ignore the naysayers, organize your community, and only create change. Because like Smokey said, only you can prevent forest fires. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.